Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Night Show. I am your host and athletic director, Mr. Michael Fahey. I want to start off by saying Happy New Year and welcome to 2021. I hope everybody is safe and well, and I am very excited about jumping on here. We have a lot to chat about. This episode, we will focus on fall 2020. Although we did not have your typical fall that we're so accustomed to with football, boys soccer, and girls volleyball, we did have a number of sports that competed at a very high level. And I do not want the COVID pandemic and all the uncertainty and the craziness that we've been experiencing all of last year to overshadow our student athletes and our coaches and our parents and administration who've done a great job at successfully having a fall season, a season that the Illinois Department of Public Health and the Governor's Office and the IHSA had allowed us to. So with this episode, I really want to focus on what we accomplished and highlight and recognize those accomplishments and those student athletes and teams. Thank you so much for joining in and listening and watching wherever you are. God bless and go Knights. Welcome back to another episode. Been very excited to recap the fall season. I've had this one in my hip pocket for, since we finished up in October, and wanted to discuss how well we did. I think it's important that we highlight the accomplishments we had in the fall and touch on a few things. There's a few things that I want to touch on just to let people know my perspective on what we did in the fall and what we accomplished in the fall and how we operated and how we ran it, despite not having a traditional fall season and not being able to have fans or just operating under mitigations set forth by the Illinois Department of Public Health and the IHSA. So from my perspective as an athletic director, a couple things is, immediately I've figured out the silver lining, my silver lining, which was, in 2019 when I got here, I was a little overwhelmed. And football, boys soccer, and girls volleyball take up a lot of my time. They're really big programs. There's a lot of activity and a lot of events that we host for those particular sports. So from an athletic director standpoint, 2020 gave me the opportunity to focus a little bit more attention on some of those other sports. I was able to get out to Maple Meadows to watch golf, or even travel with the girls golfers to Kankakee for the conference tournament. I was able to visit a little bit more cross-country practices, or even drive one of the activity buses to the Westmont Invitational. I was able to visit a little bit more tennis practices than I did the previous year. And I also went to an away match at Chicago Christian, where in fall 2019 I wasn't able to, or I didn't find the time, or I was just trying to navigate and juggle, and maybe I'm just learning more on how to time manage and figure things out. So that was one of my perspectives when I kind of look at, in retrospect, the fall 2020 season, and how I was able to connect with a different type of student athlete and join in on the experiences that they've had in their respective sports. Another thing that I saw was our student athletes jump at the opportunity to compete and jump at the opportunity to represent IC Catholic Prep in an athletic arena, really. Not having those three sports, and even cheer and dance, who's typically on the sidelines for football, did not compete, or rather not do any activity in the fall as well. It allowed for student athletes to compete in different sports if they wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. And we had a handful of kids that did so, which was very fun to see. Some freshmen who would have intended on playing volleyball jumped into girls cross country or girls tennis. We had sophomore Quinn Hipskin. He typically plays football, but he ran cross country. We have Lauren Hobner and Eva Kaez, both juniors, who are on the volleyball team that both play doubles tennis. Bella Raleigh, a senior who is on the dance team, she decided to golf. And same thing with Faith Laluya, who plays volleyball, also decided to golf. So it was really fun to see them jump into a different sport with maybe a different group of kids, unfamiliar territory. But it was cool that it sparked their interest, and they wanted to compete and they wanted to stay active and represent IC Catholic Prep in a positive way, and they all did so. Girls tennis, we had a new coach in Coach Michael Patinio, and we graduated, I want to say, 6 seniors from 2019. So it was definitely a rebuild year. From my perspective, I knew it was going to be a rebuild year and kind of set the groundwork and foundation for future years. But it was a fun opportunity, fun time for some of these, like I mentioned, some of these student athletes who would have played a different sport jump in and really enjoy the learning environment that coach established from the get-go. But props to coach for jumping in late in the summer when we didn't even know if we were going to have a season. He jumped at the opportunity to run his own high school program, and I thought he did a great job. I think the coach was overall pleased. I think some of our student athletes were definitely pleased. We had, strong first singles performances by junior Francis Cook, freshman Allie Geiger, our lone senior Gia Gaudio, who put in a lot of work in her last 4 years at tennis. So I tip my hat to Gia for being a leader this year with the transition of coach and also with COVID. And I'll definitely shout out the rest of the seniors as we go through the sports, because I think they played an integral part in the way that we operated this fall. With graduating 6 seniors, we had some student athletes that didn't necessarily get opportunities last year to compete and get in the lineup. So that was really fun to see, because we only play every conference match. We only play 2 singles, and then we play 3 doubles matches. And sometimes you don't get an opportunity to actually compete against somebody because we were so senior dominant last year. One junior this year who comes to mind is Maggie O'Brien. Didn't necessarily get a lot of opportunity to play her last 2 years, but this year she really relished in the moment. Her and Lauren Hobner were kind of the Jordan Pippen type dynamic duo at second doubles, and they really were fun to watch. They jived well, and I think they enjoyed themselves. I hope they did. Freshman Allie Geiger, who probably would have played volleyball from what I'm hearing. She would have played volleyball in the fall had we had a normal season, but she played tennis, and she was also somebody that was very fun to watch. She was aggressive. She took chances. She didn't play like a typical freshman would have. Super athletic. She received second place in the second singles position at the Metro Suburban Red Division Conference Championships hosted by Aurora Central Catholic. So congratulations to her for medaling in the tournament as a freshman. Definitely one to watch in any sport that she's going to compete in for the next 3.5 years that she has here at IC Catholic Prep. Let's jump to golf. From my perspective, it was any single week or match, you had somebody else stepping up to the plate, which was a coach's dream, that you had a Rolodex of student athletes that could medal and be atop of the leaderboard for IC Catholic Prep on any given invitational. And I thought our team gelled really well together too. We had 4 seniors, and they were, like I said, Bella Raleigh, who would have been a dancer. She competed. We had Carl Knabel, Davey Secor, and Michael Hilgard. We were young. Despite having 4 seniors, our golf team is definitely young. We ended up hosting the regional at Maple Meadows for the 2nd straight year. The IHSA came to us and wanted us to host, and we jumped at the opportunity because Coach Sujak does a phenomenal job hosting. Typically 4 teams from the regional advance to the sectional. And with COVID and trying to limit the number of student athletes competing at one event, only 2 teams advance to the regional, or to the sectional rather. And Latin Prep won our regional, but we came in second. Jan Antodino, sophomore, who has been a tremendous golfer in his 2 years here, has not only at IC Catholic Prep, but the state of Illinois. He's been turning heads, and he's very fun to watch. But he won the regional from an individual standpoint. We came second in the regional, so we advanced. Jan Antodino also won the sectional, so he would have been going down to the state tournament had we had one. So I feel like he kind of got robbed from because it would have been fun to watch him go down there and compete for IC Catholic Prep. We're going to be really fun to watch in 2021 fall. We're already getting that schedule underway. I think that from a coach's perspective, it's going to be great. We got Jan coming back. He's only a junior. His younger brother is very, very good. He was a freshman this year, but he did not compete due to an injury. We have another sophomore, Nicholas Zanoni, is just another guy who on any given day can lead us. He shot a 78 in the Montini Invitational, and Jan shot a 79, and we took second. And I think Nick finished second and Jan finished third, tied for third. We got Johnny Hilgard. Johnny Hilgard led us on a couple matches. I think in Lyle he shot a career low. You have Luke Tardif, another sophomore here in the regional. He shot a 48 in the front 9, but then a 38 in the back 9. So we have Kenny Jones again. He counted his score in our scores at regional. Another guy is PJ Wisniewski. Is going to be a junior next year. These guys compete at a high level. And then, Mikey Hilgard is a guy who's a senior that's graduating that was definitely a contributor in all of our matches. That's definitely going to be a void in a spot that we have to fill for next year. And I think that we're going to have plenty competing for that spot. For the girls, we had Katerina Calabria. Is a 3-sport athlete, junior. She has a beautiful swing, finished 7th in the conference tournament. And it's funny, she competes with the boys throughout the entire year and plays from the white tees. And then when she gets to the conference tournament, and then when she gets to the regional, she plays from the reds, and she absolutely demolishes the ball off the tee. She's fun to watch. I followed her a lot during the conference tournament. We had some fun. Faith Laluya, Bella Raleigh also competed at conference and competed at regional, both improving and doing well. And I want to thank Faith and Bella for jumping at the opportunity to join the golf team this year. Girls swim. Marin Gibbons is a sophomore, and throughout the year she competes with her club team, but then she represents IC Catholic Prep in the regional, or in the sectional rather. I think we can really build off of what Marin's doing. Didn't get the opportunity to go to the sectional this year given the restrictions on attendance. But last year I went when she was a freshman. It was held at York High School, and she won both of her heats. She was battling a little bit of a shoulder injury this year, but she did well. She represented us well, and I think it's about time that we build upon what she's doing at IC Catholic Prep in the pool and start a full-fledged girls swim program for 2021 fall. We'll be looking very shortly to start that up, and I'm really, really excited about that. So thank you to Marin. Let's talk a little bit about boys cross country. Similar to girls tennis, we were very senior dominated last year in fall of 2019. Dominic Gaudio, Zach Jordan, Vaughn Murray, Ian Rickard, and Jacob Schmidt. So this year, we had to start from scratch, really. A lot of freshmen came out. Like I mentioned earlier, we had Quinn Hipskin, who would have played football, come out, and he really, really did a good job. We had senior Finn Barney jump at the opportunity to compete in something else and help out the program, and wear IC on his chest as he ran. So I think it was another rebuilding year. We had a new coach, similar to girls tennis. Coach Calcagno, who's our girls cross-country coach, took over. And our assistant coach, Joe Hughes, also jumped at the opportunity to help the boys. We had freshman Bryson Spalding come out and compete. Michael Carson, who I think would have played a different sport this year as a freshman, he also came out and did really well in the JV Open race at Plunkett when we hosted our invitational, our night invite earlier in the year against Chicago Christian, Timothy Christian. Last year, we did, as a team, we advanced to the sectional and got out of the regional. But this year was a little bit more competitive of a regional. We only had Quinn Hipskin advance, and he advanced, and he represented us very well at the sectional race at Harvest Christian. So thank you for competing, Quinn, and congratulations on your success this year. Last but not least, I want to touch on girls cross country. In 2019, we had a tremendous year. We won sectionals for the first time in school history, and we went downstate in the 1A division and came 8th. We finished 8th in the state with all of our major performers coming back, which was very exciting for this year to make it down there again. But obviously COVID had other plans. So this year was a very interesting time. It was fun. We ran at Harvest Christian for the majority of the races. Shout out to Harvest Christian Academy for putting on so many great events throughout the course of the year, as well as the regional and the sectional that they hosted. The IHSA decided to stop the cross-country season after the sectional race, similar to the tennis season and the boys golf season that we had. There was no state race. We ended up winning the regional. And throughout the course of the season, we had major success from individuals that stepped up big time. We can rely on Carly Manchester, Kennedy Calcagno, and Frankie Chaidez to finish 1, 2, and 3 for us majority of the races. And it was always fun to see Carly and Kennedy and Frankie battle it out and put IC at the top of many of our races. But we also had Elia Johnson and Kelsey McDonough and Ava Faldudo and Hayden James. We had more growth this year in our program than any other program, any other year in the cross country program rather. So that was very exciting to see. Unfortunately, we lost in the sectionals at Harvest Christian. Rosary High School beat us out. They have a tremendous cross country team, and it's kind of been a rivalry of recent years for us because we're in the same conference and we compete very closely in the state. Last year we beat them in the state race, and this year they beat us in the sectional race. So it's a very fun competition. This year, despite not having a final race to conclude the season, we did have a private race. Somebody put on a private race, so a handful of our girls went down to Peoria to compete in an unofficial state final, and we finished third. We have many returners coming back. We lose just Frankie Chaidez and Elia Johnson. And I say just, meaning we have a lot of returners, but not just in a way where we're not going to miss those two. We are going to miss them greatly. Frankie Chaidez finished third in state her freshman year and never looked back, continued to improve as the sport has evolved and gotten better and faster. She has continued to help IC get to where we want to get. So we will greatly miss Frankie Chaidez. Elia Johnson, another senior who has really been a leader and a captain for us on the cross-country team. A quiet leader, but leads by example, leads by her hard work and determination, and gives it her all in every run that she, at least I have seen Elia run in. It's been very fun to watch her, especially in the sectional in her heat where she won, and it was a great moment for her that she probably will remember for quite some time. I want to thank our coaches. They don't sign up for this type of stuff. They want to coach. They want to watch our student athletes grow and get better and improve in all facets, from academics to athletics, practice to competing. And the COVID pandemic threw a wrench in a lot of it. A lot of the jumping through hoops protocols that we put forth, from IC Catholic Prep administration standpoint, temperature checks and questions and travel restrictions and logistic issues. But I think our coaches jumped at the opportunity to go all in. I think they did a great job. I'm tremendously proud and happy of the way that they went about their business and conducted them in the highest regard. It was a challenge that Coach Mike, Coach Sujak, Coach Dawn, and their assistants and their staffs jumped at the opportunity to face that challenge. I want to thank, like I said, our senior athletes, Gia Gaudio, Bella Raleigh, Davey Sikora, Michael Hilgard, Carl Knabel, Finn Barney, Elia Johnson, Frankie Chaidez, for being leaders this fall of 2020. It was not an easy year by any means. We got stripped of state championships. Travel looked a little different. We can only have 7 on an activity bus. Just, different types of challenges. So when we look at how we grew from the start of this year to the end of the fall, I think our student athletes definitely grew tremendously in character and perseverance and determination, discipline, and hard work. In the face of adversity, I cannot thank them enough. I want to thank our administration, from Mr. Davidson to Mr. Doyle, to Mrs. Wagner, to everybody involved in making this happen and working with us to organize facility protocols and weight room protocols. And I want to thank even our out-of-season coaches. The IHSA allowed us to have 20 contact days from Labor Day to the end of October for any out-of-season sport. So football, boys soccer, girls volleyball, boys and girls basketball, baseball, jumped at the opportunity to work with their student athletes in some capacity in the fall. Even wrestling did some non-contact practices. Softball jumped in at the opportunity to do stuff. It was an opportunity for a lot of our student athletes to get involved and stay active in kind of a dead period of no competition, especially because over the summer there was so much unknown that a lot of our student athletes did not get their contact days with their coaches, and the coaches did not get their contact days with their programs. And we think that is necessary to start the framework and foundation for the coming year. So thank you to the IHSA for allowing us to do those contact days, and thank you for the coaches for organizing those contact days and putting in the hard work out of season, and also going through the protocols of temperature checks and tracking and tracing and making sure that we're all symptom-free and we're staying healthy and safe. So thank you for that. And thank you to our parents for being there for our student athletes, being there for your sons and daughters through this very difficult time that we are going through. Thank you for understanding that IC Catholic Prep is doing everything that we possibly can to give your son or daughter the experience that they deserve here at IC. It's not easy, and I can't imagine how hard it would be for your son or daughter to not get the full experience of high school athletics, whether it be their freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior year here. So thank you for being understanding and patient and flexible, understanding that we're staying safe, but also providing them the experience and making sure that they can compete and practice and be with their teammates and their coaches throughout this rest of the year. Thank you for trusting in IC Catholic Prep to make it work, and signing waivers and parental consent forms to allow your son or daughter to play volleyball or to play basketball or 7-on-7 football. This is not an easy situation that we're in, and just thank you for keeping the faith that we're going to make it happen and we're going to get it done. And whatever it may look like, we're in this together as a community at IC Catholic Prep. And I wouldn't want to be battling this adversity with anybody else but our parents, our student athletes, our administration, our faculty and staff, our coaches, and the whole entire community here. Thank you so much for joining in on another episode of The Night Show. Remember to subscribe wherever you watch or listen, whether it be YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. Next episode, we bring on our head boys basketball coach, TJ Terrell, to talk about his journey from being a student athlete here to an assistant coach and now running the program for our boys basketball team. Thanks a lot for joining. God bless. Go Knights.